All right, guys, welcome back. I'm Jared, and I've got Bryn with me.
How you guys doing?
This is Bryn's new 450 RX. Pretty excited.
Oh yeah.
So one of the first ones in the country. So if you want, check out our channel because he went to Switchback. We rode this down there the other day. And we even did a uncrating video on this thing. So we got 2 videos already. Today's video, though, is the oil change. So with him, I want to change the oil right away in it. Beta always puts oil in bikes, obviously, when they ship them to us, but I don't know what it is. So we're going to put oil in it so we can start fresh. Have a good starting point. So over there is the liquid moly oil. That's what Beta is recommending to be used. Good oil for sure. I usually use the Motul stuff. So on the side of that bottle, there's no like little, can you see that, Braxton, on there? Like no levels of what oil you're in. So you can kind of see, like, I can kind of gauge this. I don't have to have a separate mixed cup or anything. And then the cool thing with the Motul as well, and same with the liquid moly, it has this built-in spout, which I think is sweet. So really easy procedure on the Betas. Cool thing is this is the exact same procedure as pretty much all the Beta 4 strokes since the beginning. So they didn't change anything on this model, but if you have a new RX like he does, we want to show you guys how to do it. So you can go to YouTube, type this video in and find it. So let's jump into it. Okay guys, this is a split case engine. So on this side is our transmission oil. Here's our fill plug. There's a drain bolt on the bottom for it. And then the other side we'll do second, has the engine side, almost identical looking plug, but you do have the oil filter on that side as well. So on the bottom are the 2 drain plugs. If I bend my gimbal down too much, you can't really see it and the gimbal goes crazy. Engine drain bolt is this one, it's the bigger one. And then the smaller one, tucked up under here more, that's the transmission side. And if you bought a new bike, a new Beta, you should have gotten this sheet with it. So it you can screenshot this if you want to. It shows you the procedure and how to do it in a nutshell, a really quick insert. And then obviously there's the manuals on the Beta website. I always print the pages and have them with me because it gives us like the torque specs. There's actually 4 pages for the oil change on this bike in particular. So we have that at our disposal. It's free on the Beta website for you guys to jump into. So first thing we're gonna do is crack these drain bolts loose and get the oil draining. Okay, so while the oil is draining, I'll show you guys drain plugs. So this is transmission side, and it's normal, if I can get it to focus. So this bike has 1 hour ride time, we would guess on it. And there's actually not that much on there. So we will clean that. And then this is the engine side. So the engine side has more of a screen on it. And again, you can see some little stuff on there, and that's okay, that's normal. So we will get these both cleaned up, and there's torque specs in the Beta manual. So I will share them with you. So the engine bolt you can see there is 15 Newton meters or 11 foot-pounds. And the second one, let me find the sheet here. It's a little bit more. It's 20 Newton meters or 15 foot-pounds. So once this fully gets done draining, I got the torque wrench out right here. We're gonna torque those, put them right back up in. So before we put it back together, Bryn's gonna rock it side to side. We just wanna show you guys, obviously we recommend oil changes to be done when the bike is straight up and down, which we have the wheel chock, but here it is kind of leaning toward him. And so you're gonna get a little bit of extra oil out. That's more the transmission side draining more, because it's kind of leaning that way a little bit. And then maybe it comes back this way a little bit. We'll see if the engine side lets a little bit more out or not. So yeah, we got a little bit more coming out of the engine side. So it's kind of a good idea to rock your bike back and forth a little bit before you put the drain bolts back in. So this is the transmission fill side, and you should be able to remove it with your fingers and then also put it back in with your fingers. You don't want to use any kind of pliers to tighten that down. Your fingers are good enough. And this side calls for straight 750 cc's. You do not have to be special about this. The gearbox can actually hold a little bit more oil than that if needed. It's the engine side that we're more concerned about. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna dump 750 cc's of the Motul Trans Oil Expert in this side. So we've already drained the oil on the engine side, which you saw with the drain plugs being released down there. We've already cleaned them and torqued them, put them back in. And so now we're gonna remove the oil filter. It's behind this housing. If you have a skid plate on your bike, let me grab one. Depends on your skid plate. You might have to remove it to get to this. So this was on Bryn's bike. And so this skid plate was covering this, and obviously to do the drain plugs as well. But it's hidden behind the skid plate. if you want to come in, Braxton will show. It's just two 8mm bolts there. And I've already got the drain pan under it because there will be a little bit of oil inside this cavity as well. Not a ton, but it comes out with the filter. And on the race editions and RX models, it's going to be red anodized. On the standard well, we're just doing RX, I guess, but the standard models will just be a normal cast piece. All right, so I found to get these oil filters out is this is the oil filter. I use a pair of like flathead screwdriver or pliers, and it usually helps get that out. So let's try it. Now that I set it, probably won't help. And I don't know, these filters might be a little, yeah, okay. So you just kind of grab it and pull it out, and then I'm gonna keep it above the oil. There's still some in it. So on these little cavities behind the oil filter cover, there's always like a little spot for a ton of dirt to develop right here in the backside. This bike's only been ridden at one indoor track for one day, so there's really nothing here to show you. Actually, there's a little bit on there. So it's important to kind of clean on the backside. That way this cover gets a new fresh seat back on there. So you got the new oil filter. I'll put the part number of this down in the description of the video. I put a little bit of new oil on the end of the oil filter right there. We're just gonna slide it right back in. And so like right there is not in. We just gotta kind of work it a little bit. Dun, dun, dun. And it goes all the way in. Kind of show that, Braxton, show how far in that just went. Perfect, good job. And then I'm just gonna put this cover back on. It can go on either way. It is not directional. So I'm gonna slide this back on. And then these get torqued, I think it was 10 Newton meters. I'll put it in wording here too. Okay, so we're ready to put the oil back in. And I should note that we did warm this bike up outside. That's why we're not touching any of the exhaust. So we let it run for like 2 or 3 minutes. The oil is pretty warm when it came out. It always helps, and that's what we're supposed to do. And so what we're gonna do is this side calls for 750 cc's if it was like a fully rebuilt motor, meaning if we split it, all the oil was drained out perfectly, but that's not what happens when you're changing the oil on these bikes. So in Beta's print-off there, they'll show you, they want you to start with 650 cc's. So we're gonna put quite a bit of this into the bike, but then we're gonna run it for 2 minutes and we're gonna watch the oil level in this sight glass. Come on in here, Braxton. When we go outside and we run this bike, we're then gonna check this sight glass and we're gonna fine tune the oil. We want it to be perfectly in the middle there. You can zoom out. And then come up here. So as the bike is running, we're gonna top off the oil here so it's perfectly in that sight glass. So right now we're gonna start with 650 cc's and then top it off when it's running. All right, so we just put 650 cc's in now, and what you might notice is that it's super overfilled on the sight glass. But with this bike, we always check the oil when the bike is running, so that means oil is being pumped through the motor. That's why it'll bring the level down into the sight glass. So we're gonna go outside now and we'll run this, and we're gonna check the oil in the sight glass. All right guys, so we're gonna finish this oil change real quick. So we've not started the bike yet, and as you can see, the oil is still way overfilled, and that's okay. Hopefully you can see it, it's pretty dark out here. So you can stay right there. It's gonna get really loud, so I'm not gonna be able to talk through this, but you're gonna see the oil drip down into the sight glass, and if we need to, we're gonna add oil in the cap to top it off. And then I'm just gonna back up for a second. Let's just finish the video. So we're gonna do that, and then that'll be the end of the video. Thanks for watching. Let's check the oil, and we'll go from there. Enjoy the ride, and we'll see you on the trail.